Hey guys, feature editing Amber here. So I was really proud of myself because I had recorded my first intro and I went to edit and apparently it didn't record it at all. So just so that you know a little bit about me, my name is Amber. I am a beauty influencer with pharmacy. We do have European standard cosmetics, and I'm not an MUA. I am just a makeup fanatic, which is why I joined. I went from using like BeFit and Tarte and things like that to using pharmacy just for cost efficiency, and I'm really happy with the quality. That being said, just because I am a beauty influencer with pharmacy does not mean that every product that I use will always be pharmacy in nature. I do have other products that I do enjoy and will be sharing occasionally, but without further ado, I'm just going to jump right in. So I'm just going to take a pea-sized amount of that primer and kind of spread it around on my face. I do typically have more dry skin. However, around my nose area, I do get a little bit more oily, especially on days that I wear glasses. And also, if you have like an oily T-zone, you can always mix it up and use different primers on different parts of your skin. I've just never really played with that. Typically, one does okay throughout my entire face, so I may play with that in the future, but at this point that's not been something I've adventured with. So I've put this on. I'm going to kind of pat it into the skin after smoothing it to kind of fill any areas that may need it. So as I said, I'm actually 36, almost 37. So I do have texture to my skin, and I'm okay with that because I'm not 16. So my skin is not going to look the same as somebody that's 16, 20, 24, 28, or even 30 because I am getting older. And I'm okay with that. I've got some wrinkles on my forehead, underneath my eyes. And I'm starting to get some creasing around my mouth, especially when my lips are dehydrated. So tip for you guys, good skincare, keep your lips hydrated. Helps in the long run. So now that I've got that primer on, I am going to let it dry and work on my eyes. We have a eyeshadow primer that's kind of like MAC's Paint Pot. It's called Pro to Fit. So I'm just going to take that and pat it onto my lid. I have some veins and natural discoloration, so I always like to start with an even canvas no matter kind of what I'm doing. Even on days that I don't really do eyeshadow, I like to just put this on and then set it with a powder just so that my skin looks a little bit more even. But it just doesn't take very much at all. You can use a brush to do this. Typically I do like to do that because my hands typically, if I get something on them, it's going like all over. I'm just sloppy like that. So unfortunately my brushes need cleaned and I am rebelling and have not done that. So for right now, fingers it is. So that's the eyeshadow primer. You can probably tell how much of a difference there is. It's just a lot more even. Okay, so now that I've done the primer, I'm going to go in and go straight in with Amazon Green and add a pop of color over my eye and then kind of add depth from there, rather than doing my usual transition, center, and outers, because you can actually kind of make a gradient with this to give different colors. So I'm going to just use a fluffy brush and take this Amazon Green, and I'm gonna Just kind of lightly use that up towards my transition. My eyes are slightly hooded, so I typically just go a little bit higher to give a little bit higher of a crease and give me more workable lid space. So I do not know how people like Raw Beauty Christie, Manny MUA, Laura Lee, like I do not know, James and Robert Welsh, like those are a lot of people that I really enjoy watching, and I feel like they never really have awkward time in their videos, so I'm not sure if they like edit that out, or if they're just like the only awkward moments that they have are like the funny awkward moments, but I just feel like I don't know how they always stay so composed, and kind of like still manage to like interact throughout their videos. I'm trying to really be a little bit more extroverted, but in this is something that just, it's so weird and awkward for me, and I love watching them, and I'm just like, wow, hopefully I can get more comfortable, because I like making videos. I just love playing with makeup, and I thought about going to school for it, cosmetology, but I just never wound up doing that. But it's always been interesting to me, and I could stare at people do makeup for days. I don't know if that's normal. I mean, I'm assuming since there is like a whole community for makeup on YouTube that I'm not the only one, but like people, like when they do their makeup and they're around me, I just can't help but just watch it. I love seeing how other people do their makeup and like trying to pick up techniques and incorporate them in my routine and see how I like it, or if I don't like it and why. If I don't like it, kind of changing up and see if there's like a variation of it that would work better for me. But I don't know. Hopefully I'll learn to feel a little bit more comfortable. But so I've gone higher up, and I made a transition with the Amazon green. So I'm going to kind of work it a little bit lower and add a little bit more color to it. And I think I'm really going to kind of pull that green towards the middle and slightly inner portion of my eye. I'm not going to use a packing brush because I don't want like a super dense look, but I am just going to use this fluffy brush and kind of load it a little bit more where I want it to just get a touch more color saturation. So I'm just going to pat it right in there. And then I've got a little bit left on my brush, so I'm going to take and kind of blend a little bit more towards my nose. I've seen some people do this, and I've never actually done this. Usually I end my eye color a little bit further away from my nose, but I'm really kind of going to try it and see how I like it. But anyway. So I've got that Amazon green on there. Now I'm going to go in with something a little bit darker, but not a crazy color. I think I'm going to go in with coffee brown. It's still metallic, and I'm not normally huge on using metallics towards the outer portion of my eye. But it's a really pretty color. So I think I'm going to use that to add a little bit of darkness and depth towards the outside of my eye here. I have another fluffy brush. This one is just not quite as long as the other one was, and then this is the coffee brown. So I'm just going to take that right on the outer corner of my eye, and more pat than anything to start, but just right on that outer edge. And I know Pharmacy is supposed to be releasing some eyeshadow palettes and some more colors. And I'm really excited for that because I feel like there are so many different kinds of foundations. We have a great variety of blush and highlighters and mascaras and eyeliners, but I really just want to see more eyeshadow. Because to me, if I think about it, my foundation is typically going to be more of like a standard thing. I mean, I kind of vary it up based on the day just because I have options, but I'm the type of person, if I had a foundation that, and just one foundation and it worked for me, I would be fine using that one foundation. Now, granted, it's nice to have options, and I know that there's a lot of people that have different skincare needs, but all of the ones that we have, I've been able to make work for me. So that would lead me to believe that a lot of people would have several options with it, which again is good. It's good to have options, but if we have that many options of foundations, I cannot wait until we have more options with eyeshadow. Just because I feel like your eyeshadow is the thing that really, unless you're just doing like a Monday 9 to 5 and you do the same look every day, at least for me, an eyeshadow is where I want options and variation and change, just to kind of like fit my mood or like change it to accent, you know, like my eyes, I don't know what color they are. They never seem the same. But, you know, if I do my eyes one way, they look one color, you know, sometimes they look green, sometimes they look gray, sometimes they look blue. So using different shadows can kind of accentuate it that way. Also, you know, if you're wearing different clothes and you want to pop a different color out, it's nice to be able to have options. So I can't wait until Pharmacy kind of gets on board with that, just because I know that there are several makeup artists that use their products and they would love to have those options. So I know I'm not alone in this. I'm really, really excited. I know they're going to come out with a line of lashes soon. I'm not a huge lash user. I've probably only used them like 3 or 4 times in my life, but they are something I aspire to get better with. This brown is not necessarily as dark as I would want it, and I could add black, but I really don't want to because I typically go overboard really quick just because I'm so fair complected. So I'm just going to dampen it a little bit to make sure that it really gets darker and adds a little bit of depth. And it's nothing drastic, but just enough that it really kind of adds to it. So again, I'm just going to do that right in that outer corner. And then kind of work my way up towards the crease, but not go up onto it very high. Okay, and then so once I have that done, I'm going to go in with that original fluffy brush again and just kind of blend that together so it's kind of seamless. So right now I've got the coffee brown and the Amazon green. And so to add even more dimension, I'm going to go in and add a pop of brightness towards the center of my eye, and kind of towards the center of my lid as well. I'm going to use, we have cream to powder eyeshadows. They're creamy eyeshadows, and this is the Golden Shot, so I think I'm going to use that. These do really good with a finger. They do really well with a brush. It just kind of depends on the effect that you want. I am going to use this kind of like concealer paddle type brush. so that I can pat it directly where I want it and then also kind of disperse it. But I'm going to go towards the inner eye here. And spread it towards the middle. But again, just trying to add a little bit of dimension and some fun. Probably not something I would do and go to work, but you never know. So I've got that on there, and I'm going to just use the brush that I used on the brown and kind of use that fluffy texture to kind of blend it out a little bit more. I did get more yellow on one eye than the other, so I'm going to go back in and just do another slight pat. I'm trying desperately not to make crazy faces. And you just can't believe somebody says something and you are just like taken back. Like, I don't even know how to respond to that. My face really transmits that. So I am really trying hard to work on myself and give some people more benefit of the doubt. But it's hard. It's really hard. I feel like I've gotten better. So what I'm doing is I'm just going back in and putting some more of that green like towards the center because I feel like it got lost a little bit, which was my fault. I totally blended it out, but I do want it to kind of be a transition more from like brown to green to gold. So I'm just going in and patting some more back in right down the center and blending it. So then I'm going to go ahead and do my foundation since the primer has had time to dry now. I know that there are some people that do their concealer underneath. I do know that color correction underneath is effective, but I feel like a lot of times when I see people do their concealer underneath their foundation, that the effect just kind of gets wiped away. And I'm not sure if that's just like an application issue or if that's just how it rolls. So if you guys know, let me know, because if it is effective, I would definitely like to try it. It's just not been something that I've seen to last once the makeup gets applied. But this is one of our full coverage foundations, VFX Pro. It's really good for camera. So I'm going to take it and I'm going to just make some spots around my face and then blend it out from there. I have a flat top kabuki that I really like to use. I feel like stippling kind of gives me more coverage like I really want when I'm wearing a full coverage, so that's typically what I use. So I just go through and make dots around my face and then use the flat top kabuki. So I just kind of pat to distribute, and once I get it distributed where I want it, then I'll go back over kind of in a sweeping motion, but this just kind of gets it placed where I need it. I will tell you, I have kind of a different skin tone. I have some red. I don't think I technically have rosacea because it's not like really textured, which I see a lot of my friends that have rosacea, it's kind of textured, but it's just kind of just redness to my skin. And I've always had that. I don't know if it's because I'm super pale or what that is, but with this foundation, it's kind of, even though it's the most neutral, it's more of like a yellow tone neutral. So if I had number 4, because this is 0. Number 4 is a pink tone. foundation, and that would help me kind of cancel out some of the yellow tone in this. But I like the Stay Matte just as much as this, honestly. And so I think when I'm buying, I'll probably do more of the Stay Matte instead of this, because I feel like the effect is really, really similar. And I think the Stay Matte is like not quite half the price, which, I mean, it's not like this is expensive. It's $25. That's one of the reasons I started with pharmacy. But the other is like 13 bucks. So if you're looking at, you know, that $12 difference, if I was constantly looking at myself in pictures, which I'm not, and was able to decipher a huge difference, which again, I'm not, then yes, it would be worth that extra. But for me, just on a day-to-day, you know, for makeup to wear to work, to play with for videos, like, I don't think for me that I could consistently justify that extra price point. Again, it's not a huge price jump, but I'm just fine with the other lines of foundation. They do awesome. And don't get me wrong, I really like the effect of this, but I'm cheap. But I went from spending Tarte money to spending pharmacy money. And so for me, now if I'm going to spend that money, it's got to be like really worth it. So if I was going to be going to something, and I say that because this is almost empty, but if I was going to be going to something that was going to be a lot of photos, I would probably go ahead and get some more, like if it was important photos for me. But just for where I am and what I do, like, I don't think it's that important. So I do like both of them. They're both effective. Sorry, I'm just trying to get the corner of my eye even. But anyway, for where I am, for what I do, I really don't think it's that necessary. So I would just stick with the one. However, again, people have different needs. So with my type of skin, my complexion, all that sort of stuff, it may not work the same for somebody else. So I guess that's probably why they have so many options. Just for me personally though, like, I'm good with the others. So that's my foundation. I've got my eyeshadow obviously done. So I do like our eyebrow mascara. I do have decent brows, but just the coloring, they're kind of patchy. Years of like tweezing and waxing and everything like that are kind of catching up with me. So I do like to use the eyebrow mascara. I use the dark brown because it's a cooler tone, but you can just kind of brush it through and it adds a little bit of definition, which I really like. You can also take the brush and just kind of like pat the skin where there aren't hairs to just fill. So it's really handy that way. So you can kind of see right there, like without, well, I kind of feel like the eyeshadow can stand on itself. Or stand on its own. So I'm going to go ahead and do just like a light dusting of face powder to set my face, and then move into some other things. I do have several powders, but I think I'm just going to go ahead and do the transparent finishing powder. And it looks like this. And when it comes off, you're just going to see, it comes out like really transparent. So it's not something that leaves like a big white cast like a lot of other things do. So just going to take it and kind of brush it over everything. I do have a touch of dark under eye, but I don't feel like it's dark enough that I'm gonna worry about really like color correcting or anything like that here. I've been kind of like extra setting my nose because, you know, face masks. And I feel like when I add some additional powder and then spray with our BeFit setting spray, that I typically have a lot more success with that foundation not coming off throughout the day. But where I do work in a doctor's office and I do sit with patients, I have to wear that mask. So it's just something I've kind of got to be cognizant of. As far as blush and highlighter and all that stuff, I've not here lately been doing a ton because, again, face mask. But this is one of my favorite products. We recently came out with another version of it that's in different tones that I really like as well, but I don't have that in here. But this is the 3-in-1 face palette. And as you can see, it's got blush, highlighter, and bronzer. I have to be super careful with the bronzer just because I am so fair complected that a little bit goes a long way. So I just kind of start at the outer areas of my forehead. I do have kind of a taller forehead, so this kind of helps round out my face as well instead of making it look so long. So then I just kind of work on blending it and then go down sides of my face a little. And again, I'm just trying to add a touch of color just because I am so fair. If I go too hard with this, then it looks really strange. So I just kind of lightly hit the outside of my face. And I do like to hit my nose because obviously the sun would hit my nose. And just a touch on my chin. So then once I have that on, I'm going to go ahead and go in with the blush that's in here. And it's really pretty and it's also really pigmented. So I just want to tap into that and then kind of follow the outline of my natural cheek. I usually do kind of like the corner of my face, if that makes sense. Like if my face were a square or a cube, I guess I'll do like the corner and brush the pigment up. And then after I do that, I'll come onto the apple of my cheek. But I want to kind of lose some of the color like right on the edge of my face so that I don't have clown makeup. Like this way I still get color on my cheek, but it's not super bold because I've used it on the edge of my face first. But I usually pull it kind of up and back towards my hairline, follow my cheekbone. That way it kind of accentuates that cheek and it uses up some of that pigment. Not to say that I've never gone a little ham on cheeks, because Lord knows we've all been there. Does anybody have like a really awkward freckle or a mole that's just slightly too much for your foundation, but you don't want to like put anything over it because it'll look weird? I have this one right here and you can always see the texture of it no matter what. But last time I had a place removed, oh, right there, it kind of made a divot. So I don't really want to have it removed, because I'm afraid I'll have like a target shaped divot in my cheek. I had a couple of places removed in December of, I want to say 2018, and one wound up being cancer right here. And I had to have a procedure that I absolutely hated called Mohs, M-O-H-S. Absolutely hated it. Awake for the whole thing. They just numb the area and then like shave off a layer, send you to like go get breakfast or something, call you and tell you if they got all the margins. They didn't. Call you back. You have to lay in a chair again. Again, just numb, but like it's right there. Super uncomfortable. So I really don't ever want to have anything like that again. So I'm fine with my paleness. I don't feel I need to put any sun on my face and challenge what already was. So I had to do, after it healed up, something, it was like a kind of cream that kills cancer cells in case anything did get missed or start growing back. So I had to do that for 3 months, a couple of times a week. And I did that, and then I went back for, I guess it was my annual, I went back for in January. And even though I had done that, I had some pre-cancer kind of towards the corner of my eye. So they froze that off, which although it's super uncomfortable and it burns like hell, so much better than doing Mohs. So I was okay with it. But bottom line is I do not want to have that issue with my face anymore. Honestly, I don't feel like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I would not have enjoyed it anywhere on my body, but I think the fact that it was so close to my eyeballs was the part that like really freaked me out. So I definitely do not ever want to have that experience again. So if you've had that and had to use that cream or been told to use that cream, make sure you do it, because I don't want anybody else to have that again. It was super uncomfortable, scary. Like I remember when they told me that I had cancer come back on my labs, they were like, you know, it's, if you were asking for cancer, it would have been the best kind to ask for because it was basal cell carcinoma. So anybody that's had anything more than that, like, I bow down to you and I hope you're doing well. But it was not good. I panicked when they first told me, of course, because you hear the C word. And not like CU, but like cancer. And then, you know, like everything you've heard starts flashing at you. Like my first question was like, am I going to need like chemo or radiation? Like I don't know anything about this. And they were like, no. So I'm glad that, you know, out of everything that mine was like the least severe kind. But I can't imagine what other people deal with, because that was so stressful. And even though I didn't have to deal with it anywhere as long as like a lot of people do, it was just really uncomfortable. And I know that that I got really lucky. So I'm hoping that if any of you guys have encountered that you're doing well now. But I don't know how common that is. They just said that it was the least severe type. So I don't know if that's something that's kind of routine. Of course, to me, it felt like really severe, but it could have been something that is like absolutely no big deal and I would have no clue. I'm going to take, we have one eye pencil that's white. I normally don't do this, but I am going to go ahead and brighten up this area just because I feel like I use some colors that are darker and they're going to kind of drag my eye down. So I'm just going to put this in my waterline. Now this one is not waterproof, but for me it typically stays well enough that I don't have an issue. If you have like itchy, watery eyes, it may not stay as well for you. I mean, I'm sure I'll have like days that I normally don't have where my eyes do water, and then I might have an issue with it, but for just general purposes, it's always been fine. So then I don't want to put on anything in my top lash line as far as other than mascara, so I'm going to use mascara up there, but I think I'm going to use just something in my lower lash line to draw attention to my eyes with a little color. Just barely smudging it in there. I'm just trying to get it right in that lash line. There we go. So just add a touch of definition without being crazy. So now that I have that on there, I think I'm going to go in, with a 3D mascara. I don't use it very often. We have so many different options with, I know I told you a bunch of things, but mascara is one of them that we have a bunch of options with. So it is kind of hard to make sure that I rotate through everything. I do definitely have some favorites. I really like the Optimal Style for like daily use. Also the Zen, which is like our least expensive mascara, is really, really nice. It gives me a lot of lash extension. My lashes are really fine, but actually pretty long. So I don't have typically clumping issues with our mascara. Like a couple of them may stick together or whatever, but nothing like spidery looking or anything like that. Like as you can see, that's one coat. So it just gives it a little bit more definition on my lashes, makes it look like I have a little bit more. The mascaras are buildable. However, I don't know if it's because of the length of mine or what, but when I start building is when I start having issues with things clumping. I don't know if it's like my method or just my lashes being assholes or what, but I typically will do one coat and then maybe go back and just lightly touch it with another one, but not even like a full second coat, because that is typically when I start having issues with any mascara ever. I know that some of my lashes don't grow like straight out. Some of them will grow kind of like crooked and create weird lines, and I know I'm kind of like, I don't know, controlling with stuff like I don't even, up until maybe like last year, I didn't even like wearing my hair naturally curly because it does something different on both sides of my head, and I really want it to be like symmetrical, so it always made me like hate it, but I'm much better with it now. But like you can tell my natural wave's kind of rolling out a little bit more. But anyway, so I put lip conditioner on before I started. If I was going to be doing like anything where I was going out all day, I would wipe off the lip conditioner before I put on matte liquid lipstick, because it makes it transfer more if I've got the conditioner on underneath it. But where it's kind of later at night, I'm not going to do one of those. I'm just going to go ahead and go in with one of our matte BB lipsticks. This one is Iconic Nude. Now these are obviously a traditional stick formula, but I will tell you that I have found that these almost stain my lips a little bit and the color hangs around more than like a lot of other sticks that I've seen. So I've got that on. I'm just going to go ahead and So that's the look. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I look forward to getting to know some of you guys. If you could like, share, comment, subscribe. So I would appreciate anything and everything, every little bit of love, suggestions, nice critiques. Not saying you can't differ from my opinion, but if you could just be respectful and kind in your vocalization of it or your typing of it, I would greatly appreciate it. But thank you for your time. You guys have a great night.